The instructions for writing the 5-paragraph social science essay were found in the Documents section of Blackboard. When you rewrite your essay, it's strongly recommended that you refer to them. This assignment was basically a guaranteed A if you followed the instructions. The introductory paragraph was worth 30 points, the main body a total of 45 points, the concluding paragraph 20 points, adding up to 95, with possible extra credit of 5 points. Now, in addition, if you recall on the instruction sheet, there were several common mistakes. You would lose 3 points for each of those mistakes. However, there is no partial credit. It was either right or it was not. If you followed the instructions and did exactly the way the instructions specified, as I said, it was a guaranteed A. I would like to start by going over some typical problems that I noted in your submissions. The first and most glaring was the failure to follow the instructions. The 5-paragraph social science essay basically would have allowed you to create a template. Out of that template, over time, you would have expanded, added additional information, so eventually you had a full and complete research project. But if you don't follow the template initially, then it gets confusing. The second common problem was some of you were confusing explanatory statements with argument statements. For instance, if you're supposed to give a thesis statement and 3 supporting arguments, sometimes instead of giving an argument, you were explaining what the thesis statement meant. That type of explanation would come later. It wasn't called for. In getting this right is crucial. So what we're going to do is first just focus on the introductory paragraph. The introductory paragraph is key to the rest of the essay. Now recall, the introductory paragraph begins with the thesis sentence followed by at least 3 supporting arguments for that thesis sentence or statement. It ends with a concluding sentence. Now remember, in this instance, when we're talking about a thesis sentence or thesis statement, I'm referring to the main theme or the main idea of the essay. In this instance, you are writing a 5-paragraph essay explaining the problem that is giving rise to your research. In other words, what contemporary situation is existing that later on, not in this essay, you will describe the research that this contemporary situation led to. To help with the process of conceptualizing your introductory paragraph before you get down to the actual writing, think of it as a diagram. You start with the thesis statement. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of this 5 paragraphs? What is the main thing I am trying to convey? That is your thesis statement. Then ask yourself, what 3 arguments support my thesis statement? And you insert one in each of the boxes. Now, for the purposes of this diagram, these arguments don't even have to be full sentences, but the thought has to be conveyed. It has to be clear from looking at it what the argument is. Finally, at the bottom, you insert your name. Let's take a look at a quick example. The thesis statement here is the nation's critical infrastructure is vulnerable. This signals to the reader that the subject of the essay is the nation's critical infrastructure. It also tells the reader that the aspect of critical infrastructure that's being discussed is its vulnerability. There are 3 supporting arguments. The first one is that widespread computerization makes it a target for cyber attacks. The second supporting argument addresses the lack of financial investment in physical infrastructure. And finally, the third supporting argument is lack of redundancy. You notice that these supporting arguments are phrased as statements, but not necessarily sentences. However, even though they are not complete sentences, the full meaning. At this point, you should return to the assignment in Blackboard. You will notice a document has been uploaded that looks just like this. You should open that document. You should insert your thesis statement. Think carefully and insert 3 supporting arguments. Please write your name. And then save that document on your computer and upload it to the assignments.